Imagine this. You're an orphan girl. You have no power, no voice, no future. But in just a few short years, you become the queen of the world's greatest empire. And then suddenly an evil plot threatens to wipe out your entire people. Will you stay silent in safety? Or risk everything, avenge your life, for the sake of others? This is the story of Esther the queen who risked it all. Act 1. A crown from the shadows. The Persian Empire stretched across 127 provinces. From India to Ethiopia, Esther 1:1. King Xerxes ruled with absolute power. His word was law, but one act of defiance changed everything. His queen Vashti refused his command. Humiliated, the king stripped her crown. A new queen was to be chosen. Among the women taken to the palace was Esther, a young Jewish orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai. Esther 2-7. She had no wealth, no royal blood, only a hidden identity. Yet when she stood before Xerxes, scripture says, the king loved Esther more than all the women. Esther 2:17. He placed the crown upon her head. The orphan had become queen, but her secret, her Jewish identity, remained hidden. Act 2. A decree of death. Soon after, Haman, the king's highest official, rose in pride and power. He demanded respect from all. But Mordecai, faithful to God, refused to bow. Esther 3:2. Enraged, Haman sought revenge, not only against Mordecai but against all Jews in the empire. He deceived the king, convincing him to sign a decree. On a single day, every Jew, men, women, and children would be slaughtered. Esther 3:13. Letters spread across the empire. Panic filled the streets. Mothers wept. Fathers trembled. The people of God were marked for death. Act 3. The choice of destiny. Mordecai sent word to Esther. Go to the king, plead for your people. But Esther knew the law. No one could enter the throne room uninvited. The penalty was death unless the king extended his golden scepter. Esther 4:11. She hesitated. Was she willing to risk everything? Then came Mordecai's piercing words. Do not think you will escape in the king's house. If you remain silent, deliverance will arise from another place, but you and your family will perish. Who knows if you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Esther's heart pounded. Fear fought with faith. Finally, she replied, Go, gather the Jews to fast for me. I will fast also. Then I will go to the king even, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther 4:16. Act 4. Into the throne room 3 days later, Esther put on her royal robes and stepped into the throne room. Every breath was heavy. Every step could be her last. The king's eyes fell on her. Silence filled the hall. Then the golden scepter extended. Esther 5:2. She had risked her life and lived. But Esther was wise. She didn't reveal her request at once. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to a banquet, and then another. Meanwhile, Haman, blinded by arrogance, built a towering gallows intending to hang Mordecai the next morning. Esther 5:14. The stage was set for a dramatic clash. Act 5. A sleepless night. That night, the king could not sleep. He ordered the royal records to be read. By chance, the story of Mordecai's loyalty was brought before him the day he had uncovered a plot to assassinate the king. Esther 6:1-2. What honor was given to him? Xerxes. Ask it. None, came the reply. At that very moment, Haman entered to request Mordecai's death. But before he could speak, the king asked, What should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Thinking it was himself, Haman suggested royal robes, a king's horse, and public honor. The king commanded, Excellent. Dodisat. Onse for Mordecai de Jew. Esther 6:10. Haman's pride collapsed into humiliation. The man he hated most was paraded as a hero. Act 6. Esther's stand. The second banquet arrived. The king, curious, leaned forward. Queen Esther, what is your request? Even up to half the kingdom it will be granted. Esther drew a deep breath. Her moment had come. If I have found favor, grant me my life and the lives of my people, for we are sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. Esther 7:3-4. The king's face darkened. Who is he? Where is the man who has dared to do this? Esther pointed. This vile Haman. The room exploded in shock. Haman begged for his life, but the king's fury sealed his fate. That very night, Haman was executed on the gallows he had built for Mordecai. Esther 7:10. Act 7. A nation saved. Haman was gone, but his decrees still stood. Yet a new law was written. The Jews were given the right to defend themselves. Esther 8:11. On the appointed day, the enemies of God as a people fell. Instead of annihilation, there was victory. Esther 9:1-2. From that time on, the Jews celebrated the Feast of Purim, Day of Joy, deliverance, and remembrance of how God saved his people through Esther. Esther 9:26-28. Esther's story echoes through the ages. An orphan became a queen. A woman who could have stayed silent chose to speak, and her courage saved a nation. Her words still challenge us today. If I perish, I perish, because sometimes faith means risking it all.